Well, thank you, Angela, for having me here. It's great to be at the Author Castle. It's a little past my bedtime. I just flew in from France yesterday. But I'm here to talk about intention. So how many of you have ever set goals or intentions? Raise your hand. Yeah, cool. How many of them worked really well? A couple, okay. So we're gonna talk a little bit about why they don't work and how to fix it. In 2015, I, like many other self-help professionals and people who play in the self-help industry, created a word of the year. Anybody do that? Anybody have a word of the year, like their theme for the year? Yes, and my theme for the year was intention. It was a genius word, right? I knew I wanted to figure out what it meant and how to set them and how to break some of the patterns I had seen. The reality is, in the self-help industry, intention has been bastardized. I will make $1 million tomorrow. Where is it? I will own my way to millions. Why isn't it here yet? All this time spending talking about like being intentional and creating intention, and the meaning has been completely lost. In 2015, I went on this journey to like figure out all these things, and I found myself at all these adult summer camps. You've probably read some of the articles about them, where a bunch of adults go into the woods, put away their digital devices for 3 days, and have fun and play. And I was a camp counselor, and on the first night, everyone sets their intentions for the week. And then on the last night, everyone reviews their intentions and sees how many came to fruition. And after working with 60 people over 3 weeks, I found that almost none of them did. So I started looking at the word intention. What does it actually mean? Intention comes from the root of a word called intentio, which literally means to pull towards. Expectation, on the other hand, comes from a word called expectare, that's the root, and it means to sit around and wait. So at this adult summer camp, I was noticing this thing. These intentions were being set. They were earnest. They were sweet. They weren't intentions. For example, make new friends. Have fun. Forget about work. The problem with these sorts of intentions is they have no action to them. You can't make new friends and just sit around by yourself at the craft table and magically hope that you attract people to you. It's passive. Really, 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 really passive. So I started talking to all these campers, and I was like, so tell me how you're going to actually create these things. And they were like, well, I don't know. I just want this thing. Why can't I just have this thing? Well, because an intention is pulling towards, you can't just say, I want this thing, and suddenly manifest it. Now, this shows up in a number of ways. And intention and expectation frequently get mingled, and we sit around. Goals are frequently expectations, if you think about it. I will do X. Now, that's a fine thing to have. You also should have those sorts of like solid things you're trying to achieve, but the intention is actually the strategy to make them happen. And with the expectation and the intention, we create impact. Now, sometimes the impact is what we want, and sometimes the impact is not what we want. So this shows up in a number of ways. I've seen this a lot in my career. I came into my career first as a corporate executive type, and then moved into being a professor, and then started coaching. And what I've seen across the board and where these things show up, where intention and expectation and impacts don't match, show up all over the place. One of my favorite of the moment is the dissolution of my own marriage. Now, my expectation when I stood on the altar on a beach with 120 people of my closest friends, that this was going to last forever. That's what we think, right? And I set my intention, we're gonna do this. It's going to last. And I did absolutely nothing to actually keep it. And to be fair, neither did she. It was both of us. So the impact of my lack of intention and my fine expectation, but with no action, was a divorce. Not something I ever really wanted, but now something that has happened. Another place where I see it show up a lot is in the world of development. trying to go to foreign countries to do a project to create a desired impact. There's a reason why we do impact analyses for these things. So the intention is good, right? I'm going to help people. The expectation is I'm going to create this thing that's going to help people. And more than 50% of the time, the statistics are around 65, the impact is harmful. Yes, sure, it might help the desired target population, but the impact to other people is harmful. This happens with building water wells, building schools. All of these things that we think are positive frequently have negative impacts. And I see this all the time with my leadership and business coaching clients, right? They come to me with the big hope of, this year I'll have a 6-figure business, or this year I'll break 7 figures. And they come and they're like, I just don't know how. So we figure that out. We find that intention. We create the strategies. And then sometimes the impact works, and sometimes it doesn't. And then we rejigger the strategies and look at it. But frequently, it's not really about the intention with that. There's all the stuff in the mind, right? And that comes from also making sure you have that mindset clear. Now, again, I said in 2015, intention was my word. I wrote a book called The Intention Generation based on all of this. And during this process of writing this book, some magical things happened. November 13th, 2015, 2 news events went viral on Facebook about France. The first was in the morning, and it was quite positive. The latter was in the evening, and not so positive. Both of them directly affected my impact and what happened in my life. In the morning of November 13th, 2015, the New York Times ran a little article on the front page of their real estate section called "The House That Julia Built." It was about the fact that Julia Child's house in Provence was on the market. I went to Smith College, the same college as Julia Child, and so my alumni forum on Facebook was like, all aglow, all a Twitter. Oh my goodness, Julia Child's house is for sale. And there was this huge, long list of people going, I would throw money for that, I would throw money for that, let's crowdfund it, let's create it. And I'm going, literally too many cooks in the kitchen. So, I put on my thinking cap, sat down at a computer, wrote an email that just literally said, wouldn't it be cool to own Julia Child's house, and sent it out to everyone I knew who I thought might invest in the project. Angela's still sad she wasn't on that list.
I am.
She's very sad about that. She wasn't. Sorry. Next time I buy a famous person's house. And I got a bunch of responses of, oh yeah, that would be cool. So I was like, oh, okay, I have some interest. And I get on the website, Sotheby's.com, I find it, click the link. I notice there's a sublink that says Sotheby's Côte d'Azur is the listing agent. Click that, it goes to a dead link. And then I get perplexed. And I'm like, the house just went on the market. This can't be a thing. Again, I had this clear intention and a hope and an expectation that maybe I can make this work. This would be a cool business. I've done some work. I'm pulling it towards me. And it was no longer on the website. So I made the phone call to France, and they were like, oh no, it already sold. It had sold previous to the article because it had already been on the market for a few days. It had been purchased by another American. The offer had been accepted, and they were planning on destroying the kitchen, like the original kitchen of Julia Child with all of her pots and pans on the wall. And I was just devastated. I got into my car. I was driving down from where I was living to go visit my parents for dinner. And I was listening to NPR. And a news briefing came out. And they said, Paris is under attack. Same day. And the first instinct I had was, oh my God, I gotta go visit my friends in Paris who own businesses because this is going to devastate them. These small mom and pop businesses that I had been visiting for years and years. And the second instinct was, oh my gosh, all of these people, this is terrible. And then my third was, ooh, I think that might change things. So I get down the mountain, I can see my parents, they're really into Paris, and they're like, we need to go to Paris and help our friends. And we're running through all of these things that I just ran through in my own head. So one Sunday, at about 8 o'clock at night, so early in the morning in France, I went and followed the links back through, found the article, found the Sotheby's Côte d'Azur. The link worked. Pulling towards, just keep pulling towards. And I called the real estate agent, and they said, oh yeah, it's back on the market, but there's a list. of 3 other people ahead of you. Okay, well, just keep me in mind. And then every day, hi. Is that house still available? And every day, well, now we're at 2 people, and then we were at 1. And then they were having an open house, and the other woman couldn't go until January. And they wanted to sell the house first. Pulling towards, right? Just keep. Okay. And I finally, on Thanksgiving morning, put my turkey in the oven, called France with a slew of investors, 3 to be precise, and we were able to talk to the real estate agent. We were able to find out how much it would cost. I'm not going to tell you because you would be so shocked by how inexpensive it was. Again, all these people thinking like, oh my gosh, this is going to be such an expensive thing, we have to crowdfund it. Not at all. And on Tuesday, an investor was flying through the air on Wednesday, saw the house Thursday, an offer, and accepted Friday. Now, why do I tell this story? Because since purchasing the house, I've received hundreds, I stopped counting at 600, emails from people that said, I almost bought her house too. And the reason why I say this is like, oh my gosh, I almost did it. My real estate agent told me there was less than a dozen inquiries to his specific office. There's a difference between almost and getting it done. And that difference comes from that place of intention, right? You can have the expectation and the goal all you want, but if you're not constantly moving towards it with very clear intention, your impact isn't going to be what you want. It's just not. Expectation is not a bad thing. An expectation that you're going to buy a castle, it works, especially if you take the action to make it happen. Expectations on their own are dream killers, but expectation paired with intention creates perfect results. I'm Makenna Held. I am a leadership coach. I run the Courageous Cooking School at La Pichoun and also have a record label called Aloe Records. And you can find me at makennaheld.com. And thank you for listening. Go out there. Find your expectation, your desires. Find that intention, that strategy, and match it to create the exact results you're looking for. Thank you.